Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we'll have the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, so we now can cover the rest of October including Halloween. Now it does look like we can have a fairly dry end to October, and it is going to be pretty mild as well above average for those surface temperatures, potentially even mid-teens come Halloween. Now we do have a lot of heavy rain on the live radar at the moment, but hopefully this should clear through Sunday evening, and by Monday we are in a much drier pattern. Bit of cloud, bit of drizzle, but generally a much drier pattern. And as we look at the longer range, that could persist into early November as well. There is a exceptionally strong signal now for higher pressure through the first 5 to 10 days of November. There are signs of it potentially turning a bit colder. That's lessened a little bit in the last day or so. Does look like it's more just going to be an average air mass under that higher pressure, but can't rule out something colder towards the middle of the month. But yeah, ridiculously strong signal for higher pressure at the moment. So if you have got plans for early November, you need it to be dry, it's looking pretty good at the moment. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now if you start on the live radar, recording this around 4 PM on Sunday afternoon, you can see there is heavy rain spreading in from the west at the moment, but it is hopefully going to peter out and disband as it moves further eastwards. That is bringing some heavy rain for much of the Republic of Ireland, all of Northern Ireland, parts of Western Scotland, the far northwest of England and North Wales. As it does progress southwards and eastwards, it is going to come up against the higher pressure, and it is likely to lose intensity and disband. But there still is a little bit of uncertainty exactly how it does that and how quickly it does disband. But that is what the short range models do show at the moment. Now further eastwards at the moment, it is actually fairly mild. There's a little bit fresher further northwards, that's expected, as there is some slightly cooler air coming in behind this weather front, but ahead of it, it is generally quite mild. You can see it's actually warm across parts of France, but for us, we're a little bit too far northwards now to see anything really warm, but still above average into the mid-teens. You can still get away with going out in shorts, for example. It's not actually that cold out there at the moment. It is pretty mild indeed for late October, and as I said, it's probably going to stay that way for the next 5 days at least. Now if I do go over to the latest UKV, you can see that rain moving in at the moment, and as it progresses eastwards, it does disband, does stay a little bit intense perhaps around the evening period as it spreads eastwards, but you can see it really does slowly peter out into early hours of Monday, and by Monday lunchtime there are remnants of rain and a bit of thick cloud around, but nothing too bad, generally turning drier. Now as we push into Tuesday, it will be turning much drier for all, a few odd showers around, but generally sunshine coming through, and again looking very nice and pleasant as we progress into Wednesday. So the penultimate day of the month, again looking bone dry, bit of thick cloud around, but generally again can't ask for much more for October. And then into Halloween, again a bit of rain for the far northwest, but mostly again dry, a bit of sunshine coming through, and again feeling pretty mild. A bit of rain could come in for the 1st of November there in the north, but again for many areas, especially England and Wales, it is looking like a bone dry outlook for the foreseeable future. Upper air temperatures are going to be fairly mild as well, especially as we start November. Cold air is very close to our north. You see the -5 isotherms not too far away. Again, there's the risk that does push in for a time, but at the moment that risk has diminished slightly. There wasn't much risk at the start of this week. It increased a little bit during the week, a bit of a 50-50, and now it's decreased once again. So it could come back, but at the moment, average air mass or slightly above average air mass is looking the most likely scenario, but couldn't rule out something colder, especially as we head around that 5th to 10th of November point. Now if you look at the surface temperatures as we head into Monday, you can see temperatures again 15, 16 degrees, really quite mild for the time of year, really pleasant. Again, couldn't even rule out 17 or 18 somewhere. Into Tuesday, it's a similar story, 15, 16, maybe 17 degrees. And then finally into Wednesday and Thursday, again looking at 14 to 16 on Wednesday. And again for Halloween, 14 to maybe 17. And again, it's not just the far southeast, it's up and down the country. East Scotland, for example, 13, 14 degrees. Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, 15 to 16. up and down the country, it is looking, as I said, very mild indeed. We'll have to wait and see exactly how long this does last, but as I said, could last all the way through the first sort of 5 or 10 days of November. Now, talking of November, if we go over to the latest GFS, we'll see what the latest outlook is as we do head into the final month of autumn. You can see high pressure building in as we head into this week, potentially brief areas of low pressure skimming northern Scotland. That could be a bit of rain, but for most it's bone dry as we head into early November. Some cold air could come around the high pressure at times, but most of the runs now do have the high pressure sat over the top of us, and that continues all the way through the first period of November, potentially even southerly winds coming in for a time, and just continuing to see this high pressure dominate all the way through to the 12th here. Yes, it looks like it's starting to lose its intensity a little bit, but generally looks like it's going to stick around. Upper air temperatures will be oscillating around, slightly fresher at times, but generally will be average to above average. And if we do put the accumulated precipitation on, you can see there is very little rainfall around for much of England and Wales, below 10 millimetres, which is pretty exceptional for the second half of autumn. And this is for a 15-day period. That is amazing to see very little rainfall, and most of this rain in the north and west is actually falling in the next 24 to 48 hours. So if we exclude that, really not much rainfall falling in even the more prone areas further westwards as well. So yeah, looking like a very dry next couple of weeks. A really good sign for potentially the ground staying a little bit drier, as I know this is the time of year where if you live near any woodland areas, any fields, any sort of paths, trails, it starts to flood, starts to get very muddy. Hopefully this means that sort of period does get delayed. It will come. It is winter, of course, or we're heading towards winter. It will come, that sort of flooding it, and the mud will arrive, but it's just getting a bit delayed this year, which I think is a good thing. Hopefully it doesn't last all winter. Of course, we do need the rainfall, or we will get into a position where we could have droughts potentially if we saw a very dry summer next year. But at the moment, can't ask for much more than this. If you do compare to the latest GEM, again, high pressure continues to build in over the coming days. We could see again northeasterly winds for a time maybe, but generally high pressure sat over the top of us. Towards day 10, a little bit more low pressure trying to nudge in, but generally high pressure is in control with average to above average air masses dominating for the foreseeable future. If we do compare to the ECMWF, to be honest, it's a very similar pattern. Again, high pressure building in, dominating for the foreseeable future, and towards day 10, again, just sat right over the top of us. And again, average air masses dominating. We can see this from the latest GFS ensembles. Again, around average or above average over the next week or so, next 5 days. Into early November, there were signs it could go slightly colder. Not too many colder runs left. More average to slightly above average by a couple of degrees, but very little precipitation at all. This is one of the lowest precipitation charts I've ever seen for October into November. As I said, this time of year, it can be horrendous. We can see loads of storms, lots of low pressure systems, just generally a miserable feel. But this autumn, we could see lots of dry weather, hopefully some corresponding sunshine, but yeah, that's something we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, looking really quite great as we do head into early November. Sea level pressure is very high, around 1,025 to 1,030 millibars. Really, really pleasant. Dew points could drop potentially into early November, could encourage frosts, maybe slightly chillier conditions, maybe an inversion, but generally still above freezing, so we're still looking at generally milder conditions, and the 2 metre temperatures hovering still in that sort of 10 to 15 degree range. Of course, it is going to turn cooler even if those upper air temperatures are still mild. That's just inevitable this time of year with reducing sunlight hours and of course reducing sun strength. It is going to slowly get cooler even if those upper air temperatures stay above average. And to finish the video, if we do compare to the latest ECMWF ensembles, broadly very similar. Again, very little precipitation over the next couple of weeks. The temperatures, a few more cold runs still appearing, but generally most are average to above average. We'll have to wait and see any cold potential. Again, we are still too early in the season to see anything major, so again, we'll look at that in too much detail anyway. But generally dry and fairly pleasant. Again, just want to compare to Glasgow, for example. Again, very minimal precipitation. More than London, of course. It is further northwards. There is a higher risk of glancing weather fronts, but generally it is very similar, average to above average air masses, and looking fairly dry as we head into the final month of the autumn. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. We'll continue to bring updates over the next few days. Hopefully we'll have a winter update or winter look ahead in the next week or so. Again, that's something we can dig our teeth into as we do get nearer to winter. Probably by the time we get that update out, only be 4 weeks until mid-cultural winter. So yeah, very interesting indeed. We'll be able to actually have some of the medium range charts starting to feature. And that will be quite interesting to see. Of course, lots of high pressure around at the moment. Again, it's not cold high pressure, but it could become something a bit cold if it does penetrate slightly further northwards. We'll have to wait and see, but at the moment, a pretty unusual pattern for autumn, or at least pretty unusual compared to the last few years. And yeah, long may it continue. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.